In 1587, over 100 settlers vanished without a trace from Roanoke Island. The only clue left behind? A cryptic word, Croatoan, carved into a post. What happened to these early colonists? Were they wiped out by hostile forces, or did they merge with local tribes? Despite centuries of searching, the mystery remains unsolved. Don't miss out on the chilling details behind this unsolved American mystery. What truly happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? The Lost Colony of Roanoke. In 1587, a group of English settlers arrived on Roanoke Island, located off the coast of North Carolina, with hopes of establishing a permanent colony in the New World. Led by Governor John White, the colony struggled to survive in the harsh conditions. Shortly after the settlers' arrival, White returned to England for supplies. However, when he returned 3 years later, he found the colony completely abandoned. There was no sign of the people, only the word Croatoan carved into a post. The mystery of what happened to these settlers remains unsolved, making it one of the most enduring and eerie mysteries in American history. Mysterious disappearance. The disappearance of the Roanoke colony has puzzled historians and researchers for centuries. In 1587, a group of over 100 English settlers, including men, women, and children, established a colony on Roanoke Island. Governor John White, who had led the group, returned to England for supplies shortly after their arrival. When he returned to Roanoke in 1590, 3 years later, he found the settlement completely deserted. There was no trace of the colonists, and the only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a post. The disappearance of these settlers has sparked numerous theories. Were they attacked by Native Americans? Did they starve to death? Or did they simply move to a different location? Despite extensive searches and countless theories, the fate of the Roanoke colonists remains one of the most intriguing and unsolved mysteries of early American history. The search for answers after the mysterious disappearance of the Roanoke colony in 1590, a number of attempts were made to uncover the fate of the settlers, but none were successful. John White, the colony's leader, returned to England and tried to rally support for an expedition to search for the missing settlers. But it wasn't until several years later that another official search was launched. In the early 1600s, English settlers returned to the area around Roanoke Island, hoping to find any trace of the lost colony. However, their efforts yielded little. They spoke to local Native American tribes, but many of them either denied knowing anything or offered only vague, conflicting accounts. One tribe, the Powhatan, suggested that the settlers might have been killed or absorbed by other tribes in the area. In the following decades, a few explorers tried to investigate the situation further, but the search was limited by the lack of solid clues and the vast, unexplored wilderness. No direct evidence, such as remains, written documents, or personal belongings, was ever uncovered to provide answers. As time passed, the search for the lost colonists became less of a priority, though theories about their fate continued to emerge. The question still remains: what happened to the 115 men, women, and children who vanished without a trace? The mystery of Roanoke has never been fully solved, and despite many efforts, the lost colony's story remains an enigma, one that continues to captivate historians, archaeologists, and mystery enthusiasts alike. England's colonization efforts. The lost colony of Roanoke was part of a larger effort by England to establish a foothold in the New World. Sir Walter Raleigh, an influential figure in Elizabethan England, spearheaded the first English attempts to settle in North America. Raleigh believed that establishing colonies in the New World would be crucial for England's expansion and economic growth, especially as competition with Spain and France for global dominance intensified. In 1584, Raleigh sent the first exploratory mission to the area around modern-day North Carolina. The expedition returned with positive reports about the land, prompting Raleigh to plan a permanent settlement. This led to the founding of the Roanoke colony in 1585, though this initial attempt faced many challenges, including a lack of supplies and tensions with local Native American tribes. The colony ultimately abandoned the site, but the English weren't ready to give up on their dream of establishing a permanent settlement. Raleigh then authorized a second mission in 1587, led by John White, to re-establish the colony. This group of settlers included men, women, and children, with hopes of creating a self-sustaining community. Unfortunately, this second attempt would meet an even more disastrous end, with the settlers disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Despite the failure of the Roanoke colony, England's efforts to colonize the Americas continued. Raleigh's attempts may have been unsuccessful, but they paved the way for future settlements, like Jamestown in 1607. However, the mystery of the lost colonists of Roanoke still lingers, casting a shadow over England's early colonization efforts in the New World. The 1587 Roanoke Expedition. In 1587, John White was tasked with leading a second expedition to the Roanoke colony with the goal of re-establishing a permanent English settlement in the New World. This group, unlike the first, included not only men, but also women and children, in the hope of creating a thriving, self-sustaining community. The expedition landed on Roanoke Island, located off the coast of present-day North Carolina, and began to build their settlement with the support of local resources. Upon arrival, the settlers found the area to be promising, though they faced many challenges, such as food shortages, unfamiliar diseases, and the constant threat of conflict with nearby Native American tribes. Despite these challenges, the settlers worked to build homes and grow crops, hoping that their new colony would flourish. However, John White's plans for the colony soon encountered a major setback. Due to the need for supplies, White was forced to return to England in the late summer of 1587, leaving the colonists behind. His departure was meant to be temporary, and White promised to return as quickly as possible with much-needed resources. Little did White know, this would be the last time he would see the settlers. His return to England was delayed by the outbreak of the Anglo-Spanish War, and it wasn't until 3 years later that he was able to return to Roanoke Island. When he finally arrived in 1590, the colony had vanished, and there was no trace of the people he had left behind. The only clue was the word Croatoan carved into a post, but it led to more questions than answers. The disappearance of the 1587 expedition remains one of history's greatest mysteries. John White's return to Roanoke. After being forced to leave the Roanoke colony in 1587 to gather supplies from England, John White's return was met with utter shock and despair. White had promised to return to the colony within a few months, but due to the sudden outbreak of the Anglo-Spanish War, he was unable to set sail again until 1590, when England's naval resources became available. When White finally arrived back on Roanoke Island, he found the settlement completely deserted. The houses and structures were intact, but there were no signs of life. Everything appeared abandoned, with no traces of the 115 men, women, and children who had been left behind. The eerie emptiness of the colony was unsettling, especially since there were no bodies or signs of violence that could explain the disappearance. The only clue White found was the word Croatoan carved into a post. This cryptic message referred to a nearby island and a Native American tribe of the same name. White's immediate thoughts were that the settlers might have moved to Croatoan Island, but bad weather prevented him from conducting a thorough search. He tried to return to the island in the coming days, but a storm forced him to abandon the search, leaving the mystery unresolved. White's return to Roanoke remains a pivotal moment in the mystery of the lost colony. Despite his desperate efforts, he was never able to find any evidence of what happened to the settlers. The disappearance of the colony would haunt him for the rest of his life, and it continues to be one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. The abandoned settlement. When John White returned to Roanoke in 1590, he found a haunting scene. The settlement, which had once been home to over 100 people, was now completely abandoned. The houses were still standing, and there was no sign of violence or struggle. The settlers had left behind their belongings, tools, and personal items, leading White to wonder whether they had left in a hurry or had been forced to abandon their homes. The absence of bodies or evidence of a fight raised even more questions. It seemed as though the colonists had simply vanished. There were no remains, no signs of battle, and nothing to explain what had happened. The deserted settlement looked eerily untouched, as if the people had just disappeared without a trace. One of the most puzzling aspects of the abandoned settlement was that it appeared to have been abandoned willingly. There was no destruction, no remains of burnt homes, and no traces of struggle or conflict with the Native American tribes in the area. It was as if the settlers had packed up and left, but where did they go, and why? The mystery deepened with the discovery of the word Croatoan carved into a post. This clue, referring to a nearby island and its tribe, seemed to suggest that the settlers may have moved there, but it raised more questions than answers. The abandoned settlement stood as a chilling reminder of the Roanoke colony's disappearance, leaving behind more mystery than clarity. The true fate of the settlers remains unknown to this day. The cryptic clue, Croatoan. The word Croatoan, carved into a post at the abandoned Roanoke settlement, remains one of the most intriguing clues in the mystery of the lost colony. When John White returned to the colony in 1590, the settlers were gone, and this single word was all that remained. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island and a Native American tribe that lived there, leading White to believe that the colonists may have relocated there. However, a storm prevented him from investigating further, and the mystery deepened. The clue, though significant, provided no answers, only fueling endless speculation about what happened to the settlers. Could they have joined the Croatoan tribe, or was something more sinister at play? The word Croatoan remains a haunting enigma in the ongoing search for the truth behind Roanoke's disappearance. The Croatoan connection. The word Croatoan, carved into the post at the Roanoke settlement, sparked many theories about the fate of the colonists. Some believed that the settlers were trying to send a message, suggesting that they had relocated to Croatoan Island, where a Native American tribe of the same name lived. This theory is supported by the fact that John White had previously made an agreement with the settlers to leave a sign or marker if they moved, and the word Croatoan seemed to fulfill this condition. However, when White tried to investigate further, a violent storm forced him to abandon his search. Despite several attempts to explore Croatoan Island in the years following, no definitive evidence was found that the settlers had relocated there. Some speculate that the settlers may have been taken in by the Croatoan tribe, either voluntarily or under duress, but others believe that they may have perished before they could reach the island. The Croatoan connection remains one of the most compelling and mysterious aspects of the Roanoke disappearance. Theories about the colonists' fate. The fate of the Roanoke settlers has sparked numerous theories over the centuries, each attempting to explain their mysterious disappearance. One popular theory suggests that the settlers may have been assimilated into local Native American tribes, possibly the Croatoan tribe, after relocating to Croatoan Island. Another theory posits that the settlers were victims of a hostile attack by neighboring tribes, leading to their deaths or abduction. Some believe the colonists may have perished due to disease, starvation, or internal conflict, unable to survive the harsh conditions. Others argue that they attempted to leave for a more hospitable area, but encountered an untimely disaster. Some more speculative theories suggest the settlers were victims of supernatural or unexplained forces, though there is little evidence to support this. Despite all the theories, the true fate of the Roanoke settlers remains unknown, and their story continues to captivate those seeking answers. The mystery surrounding their disappearance persists to this day, fueling endless debate and speculation. Archaeological discoveries. In the centuries following the disappearance of the Roanoke colony, archaeologists and historians have made numerous attempts to uncover the truth behind what happened to the settlers. While the mystery remains unsolved, there have been some significant archaeological discoveries that provide insight into the possible fate of the colony. In the early 1990s, researchers discovered a small but significant find on Hatteras Island, near the location of Croatoan Island. They unearthed a series of artifacts, including European-style items like metal tools and a coin, suggesting that the settlers may have indeed relocated to the area. These artifacts, combined with the word Croatoan carved into the post at the Roanoke site, strengthen the theory that the settlers may have integrated with the Croatoan tribe. In addition to these findings, several expeditions have been conducted over the years, combing through the area surrounding the original Roanoke settlement, but no definitive evidence of the settlers' fate has been found. Despite the lack of concrete answers, these archaeological discoveries offer tantalizing clues, suggesting that the story of the lost colony is far from over, and new findings may yet shed light on what happened to those who disappeared. The ongoing mystery of Roanoke. The mystery of the Roanoke colony continues to captivate researchers, historians, and mystery enthusiasts, even after more than 4 centuries. Despite numerous theories and archaeological efforts, no definitive answers have emerged regarding the fate of the settlers. Theories range from assimilation with Native American tribes, such as the Croatoans, to the possibility of violent attacks or even natural disasters leading to their demise. New discoveries and technological advances offer hope that one day the truth may surface. But for now, the lost colony remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. The word Croatoan, carved into a post, still serves as a chilling clue, yet it has failed to unlock the full story. As time goes on, the mystery only deepens, fueling speculation and inspiring new searches. The question of what truly happened to the Roanoke settlers remains an enduring puzzle that continues to haunt historians and adventurers alike. The mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke still haunts us, with no answers in sight, but the secret secrets of the past don't end there. In our next video, we're diving deep into one of the most guarded locations in the world, the secret vault under the Vatican. What hidden treasures, forbidden knowledge, and untold secrets does it conceal? Stay tuned and make sure to subscribe, because you won't want to miss what's locked away beneath the Vatican.